Welcome back, everyone. It's Charlie. Marvel and Kevin Feige announced their complete Marvel Phase 4 schedule a while ago. They also recently revealed most of the first few years of their Marvel Phase 5 schedule, and because of that, we have a much better idea for what's actually going on with Avengers 5 and when they're actually going to release it. If you're new to my channel, be sure to subscribe to get all the videos. We're doing that new Infinity Saga box set giveaway for all the Blu-rays. All you have to do to enter is be a subscriber and leave all your predictions for Avengers 5 on the video. The weird thing that happened is after Avengers Endgame, I saw a lot of comments in my various feeds all over social media from random people that for whatever reason, no joke, thought that Marvel was never going to do another Avengers movie. Maybe they never read any Marvel or Avengers comics, or they just don't understand how the Avengers work as a team, but there will be more Avengers movies. Newsflash, I feel like that's not a revelation, but because of all these announcements recently, we have a much better idea for what that's going to look like, so we'll just break this down top 5 style. So number 5, in the past, during the Avengers Infinity Saga of movies, which is what they're calling all 23 movies starting with Iron Man 1 ending with Spider-Man Far From Home. I know Spider-Man Far From Home feels like a Marvel Phase 4 movie because it happens after Avengers Endgame, but technically it's Marvel Phase 3 because it's meant to be an epilogue for Avengers Endgame. But during the Infinity Saga, Avengers movies typically released at the end of each different phase. Phase 1 just lasted a little bit longer, 4 years, because they had to introduce all the different characters in their own movies before they came together. But Avengers Age of Ultron came out 3 years after the first Avengers movie at the end of Marvel Phase 2. Then 3 years after that, Avengers Infinity War came out at the end of Marvel Phase 3. Avengers Endgame is kind of a special case in that it started out as a Part 2 movie, even though the plot is very different, so it's a weird situation, but it's basically back-to-back with Infinity War. So if Marvel releases an Avengers big event movie at the end of each phase, normally you would expect them to end Marvel Phase 4 with Avengers 5. But they released the complete Phase 4 schedule, and there's no Avengers movie anywhere to be found. Why did they do that? Number 4, WTF. Mostly to have a cooling off period and avoid oversaturation with the Avengers brand, and because Marvel Phase 4 is only a 2-year period instead of the traditional 3 years worth of movies we've typically gotten in the previous 2 phases. And 2 years between Avengers Endgame and Avengers 5 just isn't enough time to build the story they need for Avengers 5. There's a formula for these big Avengers movies. The model they follow is basically, number 1, introduce new cool superheroes that have their own adventures. 2, then introduce a problem so big that none of them could face it on their own and they have to team up. Then 3, also lay the seeds for an even bigger cataclysm, universe-shattering event that'll happen 8 to 10 years down the road.
Your herald summons you. Another world awaits. Let it be done quickly.
Kevin Feige revealed back at Comic-Con that they are following this model for the next big Avengers team-up. They're laying the seeds for their next big Avengers Endgame level event that's going to happen 8 to 10 years down the road. So when you look at the Marvel Phase 4 schedule again that they released at Comic-Con, they're not really introducing that many huge new Avengers-level characters. Like Shang-Chi will be in Avengers 5, a few of the Eternals characters like Kit Harington are probably going to show up during Avengers 5. Thor doesn't really count because he's not a new character, even though he's going to come back for Avengers 5. And obviously we all expect Spider-Man to come back, but he's not a new character either. So Marvel Phase 4 is kind of a transition phase, finishing movies with older characters that they didn't get to before, like Black Widow, and slowly introducing new weird stuff like the Eternals. But that by itself isn't enough for a totally new Avengers roster. So number 3, the Marvel Phase 5 schedule and all the Avengers-level Sinister 6 Spider-Man movies. I consider all the Marvel, Sony, Sinister 6 Spider-Man stuff to be huge big event crossovers like the Avengers movies, but this video is mostly just about the Marvel Avengers stuff. Right now, this is the Marvel Phase 5 schedule. Marvel announced all these dates, and since this was made a couple months ago, they've also announced what some of these movies are. But this is the official first few years of the Marvel Phase 5 schedule. It's not complete, I'll talk about why in a second, but Marvel announced all these dates, and since this was made, they also announced what some of these other new movies are going to be. You also notice, it seems pretty cool, they're doing 4 movies a year starting next year too, during Marvel Phase 4. But Marvel Phase 5 starts in 2022, so between then and 2023, based on the movies that they've announced and the ones they've said that they've started working on, here's what's probably happening. I'm going to list all these in order of release date, starting with the February 2022 movie. First one on the docket is Ant-Man 3. Thank you very much, Michael Douglas, for leaking the production dates on that. We only know that Cassie Lang is coming back. She's still technically a teenager, primed to join a Young Avengers team at some point. They'll continue dealing with the quantum realm. They spent so much time setting up the Quantum City and all the stuff going down there during Ant-Man and the Wasp. They're just going to continue pushing into that during Ant-Man 3. Then there's Black Panther 2, revealed back at D23 by Kevin Feige. There's been a lot of rumors about them introducing X-Men Fox characters during this, but they're still just rumors. They haven't confirmed which big villains they're going to include. One of the biggest rumors is that Doctor Doom is going to show up during Black Panther 2, and part of that is because Fantastic Four, Marvel's Fantastic Four, is also rumored to be the next big summer movie coming out that year. They've already started working on it secretly, we just don't know how far along they are in development, so hopefully things go well with that and they'll make some public announcements in the next year. Then the last movie during 2022 is supposed to be Deadpool 3 right now, which Ryan Reynolds announced a few weeks ago, just based on the amount of time it takes them to produce it and when they could actually get it out.
Woo! Oh, to infinity and beyond! Avengers disassemble.
The Marvel people, Ryan Reynolds people, have been talking about Deadpool 3 for a while. I've already done videos about that stuff, so I'll link it at the end of this. But number 2, we're now in the 2023 movies row. This is the second year of Marvel Phase 5, starting with the February movie. We have Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, which James Gunn and the cast have been talking about for a while now. I know he's been really cagey about Adam Warlock, but that's basically where Adam Warlock is supposed to show up. Then there's Captain Marvel 2, which they just announced they started working on last week. Then Spider-Man 4, which Marvel and Sony announced a while ago. Spider-Man 4 is going to come out 2 years after Spider-Man 3, which itself came out 2 years after Spider-Man Far From Home, which it came out 2 years after Spider-Man Homecoming. Sony really loves that Spider-Man money, so that's why those movies come out on such a predictable schedule. Then the last movie of 2023 would be Marvel's Blade, which they announced back at Comic-Con. They're not in a big rush to make Blade, mostly because they're still sort of setting the stage for supernatural characters. But that's not all the Marvel Phase 5 movies, because Avengers 5 will be coming at the end of Marvel Phase 5, which is that next year in 2024. Avengers movies are always released in the spring, so late April, early May 2024, book your Avengers 5 tickets.
All of that is spoilers, but I'm extremely excited about those characters and about bringing Marvel's first family up sort of to the platform and the level that they deserve.
So number 1, you're all asking, why wait 5 years to do Avengers 5? WTF, why don't you do it a little bit sooner than that? The whole reason, as you've probably guessed, is because of the X-Men, the new Marvel versions of the X-Men characters. And I'm talking about the big A-list X-Men characters. So that's also part of the reason why you're not seeing Marvel's Uncanny X-Men anywhere on the schedule before Avengers 5 here in 2023 or 2022 or even sooner than that. They could actually make an X-Men movie tomorrow if they wanted to. They got the rights back last year. The main reason why they're waiting so long to do that, though, is because it takes a couple years to develop a good movie, and we all want them to make a good X-Men movie, and they want as much distance between their Marvel X-Men movie and the Fox X-Men movies. Dark Phoenix did so badly at the box office, everyone over there is kind of hoping that the next few years things will cool off and the general public will completely forget it ever existed. But if you're bummed out that they're not going to be doing big X-Men stuff and big X-Men characters like Wolverine for 4 to 5 years, don't worry, because they're using Black Panther 2, the Marvel Phase 5 films, to sort of set up the concept of X-Men. Like we have the Scarlet Witch Wandavision series coming up and Doctor Strange 2 Into the Multiverse of Madness, and they've been teasing all this reverse No More Mutants Scarlet Witch stuff. She is already a mutant in the MCU. They've already canonized that in some tie-in books. But I know you're all just waiting for the A-list characters, like when are we going to see the next Wolverine? When is all that going to happen? For the most part, I'm just really excited to see what their new Marvel Fantastic Four are going to look like and what Deadpool 3 is actually going to wind up looking like. So everyone, post all your predictions for Marvel's new X-Men characters in Avengers 5, and there'll be a whole bunch more Marvel stuff happening this week. There's going to be a Black Widow Super Bowl trailer, so of course I'll do a video for that. Everyone, click here for my new Marvel Eternals teaser breakdown, and click here for my new Deadpool 3 video. Thank you so much for watching. Everybody stay awesome, maximum effort.